this is what you will need to do the artist trading cards project. First, what I have here is 2 canvas tags that are 2.5 by 3.5, which are your average trading card size. Then I have a small clear rubber stamp. This one's made by Prima. It's just a regular like checkerboard stamp. Then I also have a foam stamp that's also by Prima and Donna Downey. We're going to be using this with some gesso, so you will need some gesso. You will also need a chalk-based ink. This one is one of Prima's chalk inks. This one's in branch bark, so it needs to be a chalk base. It can't be an ink base because the chalk helps with the resist technique we're going to be doing. Also, just some bits and pieces, some buttons, jewelry pieces, whatever you have on hand to add to your artist trading cards. Then some alphabets. I'm using these ones. These are also Prima. They're just textured tan alphabets. We're going to be changing the colors on those a little bit. And then the colors we're going to be using is Ruby and Spritz. We're also going to be using Sea Monkey and Vibes. We'll also be using the colorings in Mandarin Mai Tai. Really pretty orange. We'll also be using the blings in, this one is Hottie Pink. And we're also going to be Blue Bayou in Pearls. So we'll be using that as well. And this is going to be helping alter our alphabets and such. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what we're going to do is on our tags or our trading cards, we're going to start by adding some gesso to these. And the gesso will help add a resist to the unfinished canvas. So what I like to do is I usually use old packaging for my paint. Let me grab one real quick. For my paint tablets, I save some of my old packaging. So I'm just going to pour some gesso out. I don't need a whole lot, so I'm just going to pour a little out and spread it out with my finger or paintbrush, whatever you have handy. I want to spread it out so that I can stamp into it. I just want to use this top piece of the stamp so it'll fit on our card. So I'm just going to dab it into the paint. So you can see how the paint's covered it. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp down onto our card or a piece of canvas. Make sure you press really hard and evenly so you have a nice even stamp. And you can see I had some tan paint on there from before. That's okay, it'll still work. You can roughly see the stamped image on the canvas. I'm going to do the same on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and add more paint. Good cover. Put that aside. And then put this down as well. Okay. Put my stamp aside for now. Make sure that you wash the gesso off because gesso is a primer and a base. It will stick to your stamps, so you want to make sure. I'm going to rub some of it off for now, but make sure you wash them off really well. Okay, you could see here where our image is roughly stamped since I had brown on my stamp prior. You can see the image on there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and take some of my Spritz and Ruby, shake it up really good. I want to place these together because I'm making them as a pair. And I'm just going to pretty roughly around the edge. In this project, I want to go ahead and kind of soak up some of the excess paint. And now I'm going to come in with my Vibes in Sea Monkey. Come around the other corner. And you could see on here where our gesso has acted as a resist on the card. Come on. There we go. See right there? Now what I'm going to do is, while these are wet, I'm going to go ahead and take my clear stamp. And with my chalk ink, the brown chalk ink that I'm using, I'm just going to roughly stamp part of this, or ink part of the stamp, not the whole thing. I want it kind of a rough, broken image. And I'm just going to come in into a couple spots, stamp in my canvas piece. Over here also. I'm going to hit this with the heat gun again, just so we let the chalk set. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit this with all three of my colors with over the top. Oh, come on. I've almost used this one out. Let's just go ahead and have fun with this one. This one's almost gone. I'm going to go ahead and spray my other two really heavily this time. Ooh, look at how it made the orange bleed on there. It's really pretty. Let's add a few more little spots of orange on here. I really like this color. While it's really saturated on there, now that it's on there pretty heavily, I'm going to go ahead and dry it with my heat gun. So they're pretty dry. What I'm going to do along the edges, how they're unfinished, I'm just going to kind of soak up some of my excess paint that's on my table. See how it's soaking up really heavily onto the edge. You can see on the edge there. I'm going to do the same with this one. Might as well use up the paint. Don't want it to go to waste. And I'm just dragging it through the paint that's on the table. Just like that. Go ahead and wipe the excess off. Okay, so we have our two little ATCs. Kind of straighten them out a little bit. Just like that. Next, what I'm going to do is I want to find my alphabets that I'm going to use on top of here. And what I'm going to spell out across these two cards is artist. Title on here on these two. Move my glue. Now I'm going to add my embellishments, and what I want to do is I want to put my embellishments down, and then I'm going to use my pearls and my blings to add color on top of it to kind of blend it into the card itself. So I have a couple little pieces of odds and ends, some piece of jewelry, and some buttons that I'm just going to add along the bottom. See, let's put this little guy over here. And this shows you how well the paint pretty much over anything. Any surface, metal, plastic, canvas. Give you kind of just a overall of materials that you can use these on. Let's push this up here a little. Let's add a couple more. That right there. Okay. Now I'm going to take my shimmers and my blings. Or shimmers, actually my blings and my pearls, excuse me. First I'm going to take my blings in Haughty Pink. Oop, because I want that my primary color. I'm going to just take my paintbrush. I'm going to paint over the top of it. I'm doing it pretty heavily because I want, when I take the heat gun to it, I want it to kind of set up a little. Okay. And now with my pearls, I want to make sure that I have it shaken really well. And then this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm kind of splattered it across the card. And again, I'm going to heat set this because I want to kind of bubble up the paint a little bit and give it a rough finish. And here you go, the finished little cards. You can use these on their own, or you can also add them to scrapbook pages or the front of a little mini album. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed.